There are over 5,500 operating roller coasters as of this video's recording, but only 186 of those are made from wood. That's an alarming number considering just how awesome wooden roller coasters are, but it also does make sense. Steel coasters cost much less to maintain. Under most circumstances, wooden coasters aren't as popular, and wooden coasters aren't able to perform the same crazy elements that steel coasters can. Fortunately, companies like Great Coasters International and the Gravity Group have carried on the legacy of wooden roller coasters by innovating and proving that they're still a viable investment for a park to make. While they may not be able to do the same things steel coasters can, the raw characteristics of a wooden ride cannot be replicated either. There's something about how wooden coasters feel that almost brings a sense of nostalgia to the rider. This top 25 list is my love letter to the wooden roller coaster, which I found myself enjoying more and more with time. Before we dive in, I'd like to point out that all but 3 rides on this list are in the United States of America. When I visited Europe this past summer, I rode some incredible roller coasters, but few were made of wood. In the US, the classic wood coaster is almost engraved in American culture, so parks over here often feel more inclined to build even the modern wooden roller coaster. With this in mind, obviously, there's no woodies in Asia on this list, but there's also some rides in both America and Europe I have not ridden that deserve honorable mentions. Boulder at Liseberg in Sweden, Excalibur at Funtown Splashtown USA in Maine, Goliath at Six Flags Great America in Illinois, Hades 360 at Mount Olympus in Wisconsin, New Mexico Rattler at Cliffs Amusement Park in New Mexico, Rampage at Alabama Splash Adventure in Alabama, Roarosaurus at Storyland in New Hampshire, Shivering Timbers at Michigan's Adventure in Michigan, Wildfire at Kolmarden in Sweden, and Zeus at Mount Olympus in Wisconsin, just to name a few. If I missed any others, feel free to let me know in the comment section below, and let's get into it. Number 25, Giant Dipper at Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. This is the oldest operating wooden roller coaster to make my list, originally opening in 1924. Despite its almost century-long operation, the park has done an excellent job at maintaining this ride so that it still rides as good as new. In addition, the layout was quite daring for such an old coaster, as it's got a lot of surprising airtime moments and intense lateral forces. I love me a wood coaster that combines a plethora of different forces, and Giant Dipper is a great example of that. Number 24, Mind Blower at Fun Spot Kissimmee. I know the coaster community has a bit of a love-hate relationship with this ride. Mind Blower was manufactured by the Gravity Group, features the ever-so-comfortable Timberliner trains, and opened in 2017, all a recipe for a nice smooth wooden coaster. But somehow, this might be the roughest ride to make my list. Even still, it's got an absolutely fantastic layout with lots of airtime moments and quick turns. Not to mention its highlight moment, which is a 360-degree corkscrew, making Mind Blower one of 8 wooden roller coasters in the world to go upside down. Number 23, Colossos Kampf der Giganten at Heide Park. Widely considered to be the sister ride to the award-winning El Toro, which we'll get to later, Colossus unfortunately left me a bit underwhelmed. The culprit by far has to do with its inconsistent layout. It begins with an incredible drop and 2 great camelback hills, but after that point, none of the elements really did anything for me. It's a shame because Colossus has theming and presentation on its side as well, but it's quite difficult for me to accurately rank a coaster with such an outstanding start and such a dull middle and end. Number 22, Troy at Toverland. This is another one that might upset some European enthusiast viewers. Troy is the first wooden roller coaster by Great Coasters International to make my list, and it's also one of their most acclaimed rides. But if you ask me, Troy falls right in the middle of the pack due to a variety of reasons. From what I understand, 2022 was its roughest season in years, which probably didn't help its case, but I also found it to spend too much of its time gracefully traversing high off the ground turns and helixes. On the plus side, its low to the ground elements are terrific, it's a very long coaster, and a front row ride does eliminate the roughness of the other rows. Troy is a great attraction, but it unfortunately wasn't as good as I was hoping. Number 21, Apocalypse at Six Flags Magic Mountain. If I had to take a shot in the dark, I'd probably say this is the wooden roller coaster I've ridden the most amount of times, either this or Ghost Rider at Knott's. Apocalypse is another Great Coasters International ride, and contrary to Troy, I've always found this one to be underrated. It may not have the same length as some others, but it has outstanding pacing, lots of quick airtime moments, and even a fair bit of theming in the queue line. If there is a downside, Apocalypse is fairly bipolar in terms of how it runs, offering a smooth ride some days and a rough ride others. But most of the experiences I've had on this thing have been overwhelmingly positive, which is why it was able to claim a spot on this list. Number 20, the Coney Island Cyclone at Luna Park. It surprised me that what is arguably the most famous roller coaster in the world, or at least the country, ended up being one of the best classic wooden coasters of all time. This ride blew me away for similar reasons as Giant Dipper at Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. It's got loads of airtime, loads of sustained laterals, and no seat divider, so if you're riding by yourself in one row, you'll go flopping around in your seat. I also want to point out that for a ride that opened in 1927, the Cyclone is remarkably smooth. Definitely one that you'll want to do to say you've ridden it, but also because it's a genuinely incredible ride. Number 19, Ravine Flyer 2 at Waldameer. This is one of the coasters on this list I've ridden the most amount of times, as in June 2019, Waldameer was essentially my temporary home park for a week. During that time, I rode Ravine Flyer I think 30 times, meaning I got a real good feel for it. I absolutely adore the first half, which has brilliant airtime hills crossing over a road and flying through tunnels, but the second half does dial down the intensity a bit. If the ride was more consistent, it would be higher, but there's still a long list of amazing things that granted a spot in my top 25. Number 18, Thunderhead at Dollywood. For a while, it felt like Thunderhead was being overshadowed by what was the park's modern wooden coaster coaster Lightning Rod, but since RMC went back and basically RMC'd their own ride, it's now more so a hybrid coaster. Therefore, Thunderhead is now technically the park's best Woody, but to be honest, all along, I never thought it was too far off from Lightning Rod. Thunderhead has an amazing layout that seems to get better as it progresses, and it runs quite well too. Would definitely recommend you do this one. Number 17, Prowler at Worlds of Fun. Despite this being a relatively smaller GCI coaster, it's one heck of a ride. It maintains its speed better than just about any other, and I love how it follows its terrain. Prowler fits its namesake with some fierce, whippy transitions and airtime moments. I definitely encourage a night ride on this one. I had one of the best night rides of my life on Prowler. I will say I'm not sure how Zambezi Zinger will end up complementing this coaster because it's very possible it'll be overshadowed. Prowler's fantastic ride experience cannot be understated. Number 16, Tremors at Silverwood. This is possibly one of the more unique wooden coasters on this list. It was manufactured by Custom Coasters International, which is a company I love by the way, and what's interesting is scattered about the layout there's bits of RMC steel coaster track put in to make the ride smoother. On one hand, I think if RMC did this to the entire ride it would rank lower because I really like the wooden coaster feel of it, but with the way it is now, it's really cool having that variety. The RMC sections feel much more lateral oriented, which is very interesting, and the CCI portions feel more airtime centric with all those tunnels. Like with most of these rides, I'd recommend riding in the back, especially because that drop is just absolutely ridiculous. Number 15, Raven at Holiday World. It's absolutely insane that this is the weakest of the 3 wooden coasters at this park because it's still amazing. Raven starts off a bit tamer than what I was honestly expecting, but once you hit the second half, it is completely out of control. It's sitting in the trees and alongside a lake, following the terrain and hauling the mill is just something that most Woodies can't pull off as well as this gem of a coaster. Number 14, Phoenix at Knoebels. This is a very interesting one because it's kind of cheating to accomplish its high ranking. Phoenix uses a very minimal buzz bar restraint, causing riders to go flying out of their seats on the airtime hills. If it weren't for those restraints, I can guarantee that this ride would not have made my top 25. But it's hard to look past how absolutely insane those moments are, and it's because of that airtime that I've come off Phoenix laughing harder than I have on just about any other coaster. Number 13, Beast at Kings Island. If not the Cyclone, I think you could make an argument that the Beast is a solid contender for the most famous coaster in the world. And I honestly understand why, because it is totally unordinary. It opened originally in 1979 and was built in-house by the park themselves. That's because no other manufacturer at the time was willing or even capable of building a ride that could span 7,300 feet in length way out into the woods of Ohio. It's a genuinely mind-blowing experience and even crazier if you get the chance to do it at night. Number 12, Vote on Timber Coaster at Europa Park. This was, I think, the big underdog of the wooden roller coasters I rode in Europe. Where I was anticipating either Colossus or Troy to be my favorite, Vote on topped both of those by a landslide. It's got incredible pacing, a great variety of forces, good theming in the queue, and it's quite smooth. I only wish it were a bit longer because I think in that case it would be my second favorite GCI, whereas for now it's in 4th place, but it's still an absolutely awesome experience. Number 11, Mystic Timbers at Kings Island. The way I'd best describe this ride is a souped up version of Prowler at Worlds of Fun. On one hand, I didn't find it to be as intense, but it is smoother, better themed, and maybe a bit whippier too. I will say I think I was a little disappointed by this one because I've seen how high some have ranked it, but one thing I couldn't look past is how it did feel like it was a bit on the shorter side. However, it's not enough of a complaint to knock it down the list because it is a genuinely really fun ride. Number 10, Renegade at Valley Fair. I think it might surprise some people seeing me place Renegade above Mystic Timbers, but I think it's crazier and I like its layout more. My favorite thing about GCI's rides is when they incorporate low-to-the-ground fast-paced elements that really showcase a ride's speed, and I think you could argue that Renegade performs these the best of any of their rides. The thing has remarkable pacing and a phenomenal layout, which is why it's the first top 10 wooden coaster on my list. Number 9, Boss at Six Flags St. Louis. This is probably going to be the most unpopular opinion on the list for sure. The Boss feels like a combination of 2 wooden coasters I absolutely love, the Beast at Kings Island and Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm, which will come up in a second. It's got that woodsy setting and crazy night ride like the Beast, but distinctly different halves like Ghost Rider with the high elements in the first half and low elements in the second half. It would be reasonable to say that this is the most intense wooden coaster I've ever been on. The only reason it doesn't go higher is because of its terrible mid-course brake run that disrupts the otherwise outrageous pacing. Number 8, Boulder Dash at Lake Compounce. I didn't used to have this ride so high on the list, but after really giving it some thought and evaluating a lot of my rankings, I realized Boulder Dash was one of those coasters I placed way too low. The reason being is there's not really a whole lot this ride does wrong. It's got one of the best settings and terrain interaction of any ride out there and some remarkable forces, including loads of airtime and loads of laterals. In the first half, you have literally no idea where you're going as you're flying through the woods, but then in the second half, you have a straight run of hill after hill after hill. This is a genuinely amazing coaster, and I hope the park continues to maintain it as they've done in the past. Number 7, Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. arm. This ride has seen a lot of changes over the years, but by far the most significant is when Great Coasters International did a makeover of what is a Custom Coasters International layout. To put it simple, Ghost Rider basically combines the best of both worlds. It's remarkably smooth and comfortable like a GCI with some dramatic lateral forces and airtime like a CCI. Ghost Rider is also a very long ride, and if you have the chance, this is among the best night rides on the planet. Number 6, Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City. While I don't rank this ride as high as some who might put Outlaw Run as their number 6 overall period, I did still love my rides on it. It goes upside down more times than any other wooden roller coaster at 3, though they are all hang time centric moments, which is why I didn't love them as much as most people. The thing I love about Outlaw Run is its texture and raw characteristics, its terrain usage, and its unbelievable night rides. Flying through the woods hearing only the wheels screeching against the track with fireworks is among the best experiences I've had on any roller coaster out there. Number 5, Boardwalk Bullet at Kemah Boardwalk. This is my most recent wooden roller coaster credit, and I'm so glad it was able to meet my high expectations. Boardwalk Bullet was manufactured by the most innovative wooden coaster company there is, the Gravity Group, who was able to cram 42 crossovers in literally an acre of space. That is ridiculous, and somehow it packs in some remarkable forces too. Boardwalk Bullet has loads of powerful airtime and it feels like it never ends. And although I only rode this coaster at night, I can't help but recommend it at night because not knowing where you're going even as you're flying past the wooded structure is an unforgettable experience. Number 4, Gold Striker at California's Great America. This is a ride where if I had predicted where it would rank before riding it, there's no way I could have guessed it would have made it all the way up here. But this ride really is the pinnacle of GCI, at least from what I've ridden. It does the low to the ground thing perfect, with high turns producing airtime and outstanding pacing. And I know I've suggested you do night rides on like all of the past rides, but this is another where it must be done. Please try to get up to this park before they close permanently because Gold Striker is a world-class wooden roller coaster and I'd hate if any of you missed it. Number 3, Legend at Holiday World. I was completely blown away by this ride. It's another one of the few by Custom Coasters International on this list, and it's some of their best work in my opinion. Legend is the absolute king of laterals, it's got plenty of airtime, and it doesn't let up until the end. I couldn't believe how insane this ride's pacing was, and its sense of speed is great too, being amplified by all those tunnels. Once again, I was not expecting this to rank so high, but it was a truly special coaster. Number 2, El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. Let's switch things up a bit by talking about an intimate wooden coaster, the only other one on this list being Colossos, which as you saw ranked a heck of a lot lower. To me, El Toro has the best start of any wooden coaster by far. That first drop into the first 2 camelbacks are genuinely some of the best moments on any coaster ever. I'm also a sucker for the rolling Thunderhill and twister section at the end. The only drawback for me is the middle section, which isn't bad or anything, but it doesn't hold a candle to the rest of the ride. As I've said, I prefer a more consistent ride, which is why number 1 on my list, which won by sort of a landslide, is the Voyage at Holiday World. This ride doesn't even make sense. First of all, it was only the second wooden coaster the Gravity Group ever built, so holy crap, hats off to you guys. The thing has 6,400 feet of track that is traversed using just one lift hill. It seamlessly uses the terrain to its advantage by keeping a remarkable speed from beginning to end. It has 3 distinct sections with the large hills in the first half, twister section in the middle, and the oh my god I'm going to die because this thing is going so fast section towards the end. This summer my brother and I will be attending Hollywood Nights for our first time, meaning we'll get our first night rides and first trimless rides in what we already believe is one of the best coasters in the world. After that point, I'm fairly confident that the Voyage will remain my permanent number 1 wooden coaster until the day I die. I just can't see any others beating it, which should be an indicator that you guys should get up and plan a trip to Holiday World right now. No, this video is not sponsored, but Holiday World, my DMs are open. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching this video. I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe to Coaster Dash for more content like this in the future. Also, let me know what your favorite wood coasters are, as I'm sure we have vastly different lists. Until next time, I'll see you all very soon. Bye guys.